the
read the script.
request.
Okay. It looks like you're recording and it looks like I'm recording. So I will read the script. This is the agenda for I'm going to open the meeting for December 6, 2023 for the Lunenburg Conservation Commission. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. The agenda lists all of the topics which may be discussed in the meeting and those which are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the Open Meetings Law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided on this notice. And anybody is joining us via Lunenburg Public Access and wish to join by Zoom, the meeting ID is 811-6128-6155, passcode 952513. And I would encourage you to go to the town calendar at lunenburgmass.gov and download our agenda, because a Zoom link is clickable there. Saves you from having to type everything in manually. Okay, we will start with a roll call vote. Bob Pease.
I am present.
Rich Birch. I didn't see that Rich joined tonight. He told me he had something that he thought was coming up. Jeff Viviano.
Present.
Mike LaRouche.
Present.
Chris St. Germain.
Here.
Very good. Jeff, your audio was very soft.
Okay.
I'm on an iPad, so I'm not sure if
That's
it's
better. That's a lot
just-
better than it just was.
okay.
We'll let you know through the meeting if we can't hear you, and if for some reason we're not reacting to you talking, you'll know that's the issue, and you can try reactions or something. I'm going to be monitoring those.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, we'll start out with public comments. Do any commissioners have public comments? Bob, I see your hand raised.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say I wasn't at the end of the last meeting, and because it ended at 12:15, and I turned into a pumpkin at midnight. And at the very end of the last meeting, Rich Tremblay announced that he was resigning from the commission. And I just want to say what a tremendous loss that is for the town of Lunenburg. He was an amazing commissioner. He got certified right away. Took a lot of training. Went to tons and tons of site walks. Just did an amazing job. And I wish I was there to thank him for his service. And I just want to acknowledge, that it's a loss for the town of Lunenburg. And he was just a great commissioner. The other thing I wanted to say is at the last meeting, we were discussing trees, and Mary and I have very different views on trees in the buffer zone. And at one point I said some things, something to the extent that I thought Marion was making up her own rules. That was wrong. I apologize for doing that. Mary does not make up her own rules. Mary has a different interpretation of our existing rules. And I have the utmost respect for Mary and her integrity. And so I just wanted to apologize publicly. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate that, and I acknowledge that we do have different interpretations. I also have the utmost respect for your long experience at the Conservation Commission and your volunteerism both at the commission and out on the trails doing as much work as you do. And I encourage you and everyone who has a different interpretation, all the commissioners that have different interpretation, to voice those different opinions. I think the differences should always be informed by the regulations. But our differences of opinions, I think, are the strength of the commission, and bring value to the community. So I encourage that. But thank you for your words tonight. I appreciate it. And if we don't have other comments from commissioners, I will open the floor to, or at least ask if any members of the public have comments. If you do, please raise your hand, and I'll acknowledge you and give you time to make some comments. I am not seeing any hands raised, and I also, as we're starting down this new meeting tonight, I know that people come to these Zoom meetings with different experiences and backgrounds with technology, and if at any time people are having trouble finding the reactions icon on the Zoom meeting, don't let that hold you back. Please wait for me to ask for public comments. But if you are having trouble finding the pane, you can say something, I'll acknowledge you, and then make certain I bring you into the dialogue when the time is appropriate. I think we have, moving along, I think we have a handful of meeting minutes to approve that were in the drive. I think I saw October 18th, November 1st, and November 15th. And so we'll start out with October 18th. Has everyone had a chance to review those? I'm in a position to accept a motion to approve.
I move we approve October 18th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Chris St. Germain. Roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. Unanimous approval for October 18th. November 1st, let me just
I
ask, is
move we approve October, November 1st.
okay. Bob Pease, do we have a second?
Second.
Chris St. Germain, roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
That's aye for me, Mary. Sorry about the delay.
no problems. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. That's unanimous approval for November 1st. Have a motion for November 15th.
I would like us to wait. I got November 15th. I think it was earlier. It was yesterday. And I don't know if people are aware, I usually go through the minutes and look for Scrivener's errors and stuff like that. Although these minutes are just so comprehensive. I mean, I suppose we could pass them, but
I don't
doesn't-
have a problem waiting. We've cleared 2 off of the deck. So I'd be happy to wait until you're satisfied, Bob.
Oh, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, so that handles the meeting minutes. And I know Jane, I think, doesn't call into these meetings. She's been doing handling our backlog of meeting minutes. And I just want to acknowledge publicly what a wonderful job she's been doing. And it's a thankless job that happens in the background, but I want to say in public, I very much appreciate the effort and the diligence that she's been providing us. She's been doing a great job. We had an appointment hearing tonight for the town beach by Lunenburg Parks, and I did about 2 hours ago receive a email from Anna Lockwood, the chair of the Lunenburg Parks Commission, and she asked that that be moved to the 12/20 meeting. So that's what we'll do. And we'll move along now to new public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Sandra Perko for the addition of a deck at 64 Spring Street Extension. And do we have Sandra or her representative here on the call tonight?
Yes, Sandra, I'm here.
Hi, Sandra. Did you submit this on your own, or were you working with an engineering firm?
I did it on my own, but
Okay.
Brianna came out here and did a site visit, and she recommended to use that form because it was not a big deal to her. So,
Okay, excellent. Do you have the ability of sharing that or no? And if you're not comfortable with it, that's fine. We can
what do you mean?
I
think that's a no.
think that's a no as well.
You mean
yeah.
the document?
Yeah,
Oh, you don't have it?
we do, but we'll
Yeah,
we'll
I don't know
share.
how to do that.
That's okay. I'll just move this over. And let's see if I can zoom it down just a little bit. That's the wrong direction. Okay. Because I'm not in the app. I didn't download it. So this is the proposed deck off the end of the house. Is that right, Sandra?
Yes.
22 feet by 10 feet is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Trying to read sideways. Roughly how far from the lake, and this is on Lake Shirley.
Yeah.
Chris and I were able to go down there last Saturday. About how far off of the lake is it?
The outer edge of the deck would be somewhere like 35 feet away from the water when the water is up high.
Okay. Okay. And Brianna, as you said, Brianna did go out there. She did.
Yeah, she said since there's already a wall down on the shoreline,
Mhm.
that, you know, putting in some post holes up near the house didn't really she didn't think it required that other form, the
NOI form.
I forget the name of it.
Yeah, it's a notice of intent.
Yeah, notice of intent, right.
Yeah, I was just going to read for the commissioners Brianna's findings. And Brianna, if everyone will recall, was a previous interim conservation commission administrator. Her findings were the resident is planning to install a deck 30 feet from the edge of the wetland in an area that is currently lawn. No trees will be cut in the construction of the deck. There would be no bank disturbance to the lake. The bank is already developed. Straw wattles are proposed as erosion control barriers. Her recommendation, Brianna's recommendation, was to allow the resident to install the deck as planned with erosion control barriers under an RDA that has conditioned the erosion control barriers, and that the pre-construction site is visited by the current administrator to inspect erosion controls before any work began. Oh, actually, I can share this as well. Zoom. Share screen. So this is what I was just reading from Brianna's site visit, and then this is Brianna's photos. This is the lakefront, Lake Shirley lakefront, right in front of the property. And this is from the edge of the lake towards the house. This is from the side. And as I said, Chris and I were able to go out there this weekend. I don't have any additional questions. I'll open the conversation for other commissioners. Do you have any questions or comments? Bob Pease, you have the floor.
What's gonna happen under the deck? Are you just gonna put the deck over the existing lawn and then let the lawn go by when this no longer gets light from the sun?
Though I might put some stones down there if it gets dead, you know, if it turns to mud.
And I'm assuming it's gonna be one of the kind of deck where the water can go through the deck because there'll be
Yes.
gaps between the boards.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Do we have other questions, my fellow commissioners? Okay, are there any members of the public that wish to ask questions? Okay, and I see none. I think I'm looking for a motion for a negative determination with standard ordered conditions, or conditions as articulated by the commissioner sponsoring it.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob.
Second by Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano.
Aye.
Was that an aye, Jeff?
Yes, that was an aye. I apologize.
Okay, no issues. Bob Pease,
Aye.
an aye for myself. So unanimous vote for a negative determination.
What do you mean a negative determination?
That's
So
a
by
good thing.
yeah, it's a good thing. So by the formality of the process is that you submit an RDA, which is a request for determination. And your
Oh, so I don't
project-
need, yeah, okay.
Your
all right.
project as determined by the conservation commissioners is that you will not have any negative impact on the wetland.
Oh, okay, good. So does that mean it's approved?
It does mean it's approved.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you will be looking for some documentation from our conservation administrator over the
And,
course of the next couple of weeks.
Okay, and if I understood correctly, I need to put down that erosion control stuff and have somebody come look at it before any work is
Yeah,
actually done.
that's correct. And you can
Okay.
call our Conservation Commission office and arrange that with our administrator, Sophie.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, moving along to continued public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation by Kevin O'Brien at 390 Howard Street. Bob, I think I saw some emails saying that they're still working on getting a third-party review.
There was an email today from Matt Morrow saying that they were gonna ask for a continuance. And also saying that, they thought they were gonna go with, one of the, two recommended, third-party reviewers, but, they wanted to they thought the price was a little high and they wanted to reach out to, the potential third-party reviewer to see if they could, A, take out, looking for vernal pools, and B, since this was an ANRAD, and B, if they could, work on the price a little bit. So that was the first thing. And the second thing was, the applicant, Kevin O'Brien, said he would be willing to a site visit, any day, anytime, this next week. And I asked, I asked Matt Morrow, could the, building official come? Because the building official is also the zoning official, because there are some evident, stormwater violations there. And Matt indicated that, that would be entirely possible.
Okay, very good. Yeah, if we can swing it with my schedule, during the week, I only have, kind of morning, and early morning availability. But I'd like to try to go on that site walk as well. But, I think it's probably more important that, you go on it if you're available, Bob.
I'll make
don't wanna-
myself, I'll make myself available.
I would appreciate that.
I don't usually get out of bed too early in the morning, but I'll do it for the commission if that's what it takes.
Okay, and then we can handle the scheduling, offline.
Yeah. we can
Are
take-
other
handling this-
commissioners interested in going on a site walk out there if it happens during the week?
Yeah, Bob, this is Jeff. If you could let me know as well. I'd like to take a look. I haven't been out there myself personally.
Well, there's a lot to see.
Indeed, there is.
And I'm available on Thursdays and Fridays. If it happens to fall on those days, I might possibly be able to do that.
Okay.
Very good. So I think I'm looking for a motion to continue. Did they set a date for the desired continuance?
Let me see if I can look at Matt's email and see. I don't know that. Let's see. I'm not even seeing Matt's email now. Or maybe it was a text message. Mr. O'Brien will be, let's see. I'm requesting a continuance until the next meeting.
Okay, 12/20.
Yeah, he
Some-
sent that email to myself, Ashley, and Sophie.
Okay,
I think that's because I was the one who volunteered to try to identify the third-party reviewer in the absence of any staff at the time.
you've been the glue that keeps us running, Bob. Thank you.
So I make a motion, we continue until
12/20.
12:20.
Do we have a
Second.
second? Jeff, thank you. Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. So we'll continue this on 12/20. Moving along, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protections and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Dan Proctor for a replacement septic system at 85 Chase Road. which now has a DEP number, DEP 2081312. Do we have Dan Proctor or the owner here on the call?
Ryan Proctor from Dillson Roy representing this one.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, how are
Why don't you summarize where we are on this project and get us kicked off again?
Definitely. I can share my screen briefly if that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'll let you do that. I think I have to change the settings. Okay, you should be good to go.
All right, thank you, members of the commission. So Greg Roy was in front of you 2 weeks ago for presenting this project, which is a septic system upgrade at 85 Chase Road. The meeting was continued last time because we did not have the file number, which, as you know, we do now have. There were 2 comments associated with the issuance of the number. DEP had noted that we had signed as a representative of the owner on the WPA3 form, and they asked that we get the owner to sign it personally. So we did. He lives out of state. We did get a DocuSign from him, and we resubmitted that on I think on Monday or Tuesday of this week. The second item was they had asked about basically the wetland flagging logistics and who flagged them. So they were identified from this office, and then I went out to site. I think it's pretty clear. It's the bottom of the slope on the southern side of the property here. So those were delineated by this office. The only other item from the meeting last week, I think Mary had requested that we add silt fence. We had straw wattles only for erosion control. So I did, or Jack Maloney from our office updated the plan with the silt fence on the erosion control barrier. So those were the only 3 items that I'm aware of. If you have any questions on those or anything else on the plan, I'm happy to address that now.
Thank you, Ryan. That's consistent with my own notes with the erosion control barrier update, and where you show the wetland on the drawing is consistent with what I observed when I was out on the site walk. I don't have any further questions. I'll open it to fellow commissioners. Or the other questions, comments? And seeing no hands raised, I will ask if any members of the public have questions or comments. And I am seeing none. So I think I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. So I think with your movement, without any additional orders of conditions, you're advocating for standard order of conditions.
That's correct.
Do we have a second?
Second, Mike.
Second.
Okay, I got Mike as the second. We'll go for a roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. So approve this NOI with a standard order of conditions. Thank you, Ryan. Moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by John Sheehan and Jennifer Putherer for a replacement wood deck with a patio at 10 Sunset Avenue. There is now a DEP number issued for this, DEP 2081313. Do we have the residents and or their representative here on the call tonight?
Dillson Roy here again, and Jack and Jenny, the owners, are on this call as well.
Excellent. Brian, why don't you get us reoriented on this project and a little summary, if you would, please?
Absolutely. I'll just share my screen again, if you don't mind.
Very good.
So this project, Greg was again here at the opening meeting 2 weeks ago, presenting the project at 10 Sunset Avenue, which is on Lake Whalum. And the project involved the replacement of a couple of two deteriorating retaining walls, one of which is right along the shoreline. There's a tiered existing wooden deck there currently that we're proposing to replace with a masonry stone patio with the same square footage as the existing deck. Replace the upper retaining wall, and then add an open joint flagstone level area at the top of the recessed stairs that we're proposing in that upper retaining wall. And additionally on the property, there are some drainage improvements along the northern property line. And that leads me to my next point. There were two items that were requested from the commission. One of which was a letter from this northern abutter, as we are proposing some work right on the property line. So we did submit on Monday a letter from Mr. Raboyne in support of the project. The second item that was requested from the commission, I forget who it was exactly, but someone pulled up a turbidity curtain pictures at the last meeting. So this is basically a weighted curtain that gets installed in the water, and that's going to be used to help trap sediment associated with the work right on the shoreline. So I did update the plan with a detail of that, and I updated the call out on the site plan itself. Those were the only questions and comments from the commission at the meeting, and we, as noted, did receive a file number from DEP, and there were no comments from the state for this application. So if there's anything else from the commission or anything on those changes, I'm happy to answer any questions or comments now.
Ryan, I had a note here that we had also asked for a silt fence in addition to the straw wattle at this parcel as well.
I remember it coming up. I think I remember you bringing it up, but then we had talked about how it's perpendicular with the grade lines, that maybe it wasn't necessary.
Yeah. And I didn't capture that in my notes, but I do recall that conversation.
Great.
So at least for me, I don't think it's necessary on the as it's shown on the drawing. There was also a comment that any sediment must be removed from the lake after construction.
Yes, and that's actually included in the turbidity curtain detail. So one of the things is at the end of construction, you allow the sediment to settle for 12 to 24 hours against the curtain, and then it's removed by hand at that point prior to removal of the curtain.
Okay,
So I included that in the detail for just so it's on the plan of record.
thank you. Do we have any? I'll open the floor to other commissioners, see if they have any questions or comments. And I'm not seeing any. Are there members of the public that wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I think I am looking for a motion on this as well.
There's a notice of intent. I move we approve this notice of intent with, I think they've covered everything, a standard order of conditions.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. We'll go for a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. I'm just catching up my notes so that they're complete next time I have to look at them. Edit drawing note. Okay, so we have a unanimous approval for the notice of intent with standard order of conditions. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Stephen McSweeney for the construction of a single-family home and associated site work at 255 Sunny Hill Road. Do we have Stefan and or his representatives here on the call tonight?
Yes, I am present on the call.
Thank you. Oh, Stefan, I think we heard from Justin that you guys were looking for a continuance. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, we'd like to have this continued until we can sort out having the state issue the DEP number for it.
Okay. And so do you want us to continue it to the next hearing, or do you think it's going to be longer than that?
I certainly hope not. So yes, if you could continue us to the next hearing. If we find out anything else, we will happily send notice and we can have it continued again if necessary.
Okay. While we have Stefan on the phone, are there questions or comments by members of the commission? Okay. I think I'm looking for a motion to continue to 12:20.
I motion that we continue to 12:20.
We have a second?
Second, by Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. So I'm looking for a roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Michael Roosh,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. We'll continue this on 12:20. Moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Steve Powell for the construction of a single-family home and associated site work at 171 Arbor Street. Do we have Steve Powell and or his representative here on the call tonight? And I am not hearing anybody. When the engineering firm was emailing me, they had indicated they were looking for continuance, and the email was about both properties.
I move we continue to the 20th.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. I just wanted to I had talked to, just kind of share with the commissioners, I had talked to Mia McDonald at DEP, who's our circuit rider, about this property, and her recommendation was that we not close the hearing. This is the property that has the NHESP application for it, and Mia said we shouldn't close the hearing until we got the letter from NHESP. And then the conditions that were on the NHESP approval, we should consider adopting those conditions in our OOC as well. That was Mia's recommendation. So, and that's all I have to share about that property. So, Bob, you had a motion to continue to 12:20.
I did.
I second.
Okay, Bob Pease, Chris St. Germain. Just pregnant pauses because I'm trying to catch up my notes so that they're complete by the time we get to the end of the hearing. So roll call vote, Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Michael Roosh,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. Continue that on 12/20. So pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Temrick Realty Trust for construction of a single-family home and septic at 20 Kilburn Street, Lot 1. Do we have the applicant or the representative here on the call tonight?
Ryan Proctor from Dillison Roy, Mary. Greg Roy sent a letter earlier today. I apologize for the late notice, but actually the next 3 hearings for each of these 3 lots, we will be requesting a continuance to the December 20th meeting, so we have time to address the DEP comments that were issued. Or supply them with additional info that they requested.
Okay, so continue to 12/20.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Do we have a motion by the commission?
I move
Motion
we
to continue to
continue to
12:20.
12/20, if no one else is gonna do it.
Okay, I got Bob Pease got it all the way out of his mouth first. So who seconds it?
I
Second, Jeff.
Jeff, okay. All right. Roll call vote, say Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Michael LaRouche,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. So we're continuing lot 1 at 20 Kilburn to the 12/20 hearing. Moving along, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Temrick Realty Trust for the construction of a single-family home and septic tank at 20 Kilburn Street, Lot 2. And as Ryan just said, there was also a request for this by the applicant to be continued to 12/20 as well.
Motion to
Looking for-
continue to 12:20.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
St. Germain. Thank you. Roll call vote, Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Michael Roosh,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. So we'll continue that. Lot 2 to 12/20. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Temrick Realty Trust for the construction of a single-family home and a septic tank at 20 Kilburn Street, Lot 3. And again, Ryan articulated that there's a request to continue this to lot or to 12/20. Do I have a motion?
I
Motion
motion
to
we move.
continue to 12:20.
Chris second.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for the motion and Chris for the second. Roll call vote, Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Michael LaRouche,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. So we'll continue this hearing to 12/20. Okay, very good. That gets us through our hearing workload, and we'll move along to our business section of the agenda. And I see that we have a lot of people still on the call tonight. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to move to notice of project changes as the we're going to reorder things just a little bit. 406 Sunset Lane. We were notified by the masonry contractor that there was a field change requested. Do we have somebody here representing 406 Sunset Lane?
Ryan Proctor from Dillis and Roy. This is my last one for tonight.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
Why don't you give us a little bit of an update of what this project is and what the proposed change in scope is?
So I'll just quickly share my screen here. So this project is located at 406 Sunset Lane, which is at the peninsula. We've permitted quite a few projects here for you. I believe this one was permitted at the end of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was back before you over the summer for a separate minor modification request for a walkout to the proposed addition. And there were some mitigation plantings on either side of that. The minor field change that we are requesting for you tonight is the installation of some recessed granite steps into the approved retaining wall, which is indicated here on the shoreline. The steps would be located towards the property, so away from the water, nothing closer than what was previously approved. We would leave in the lower limit, this dark dashed line of the erosion control, and then we'd route the upper erosion control around this new limit of work to prevent migration of soils for any of the upgradient work that's on the property. So that's it, just the installation of these steps into the previously approved retaining wall.
Thank you, Ryan. I'll open the floor for commissioners to ask questions, make comments. Bob Pease, I'll recognize you.
What's the square footage that's gonna be covered by these new steps?
Let me open up CAD here, Bob. I should have that number for you. I didn't have the plan open. I apologize.
All right. And you're saying granite steps, so is this entire area gonna be impervious? And if so, is there some way to make the steps pervious?
Well, hi, this is Nancy Milady. I'm the owner, Bob. Hi. I would say it was probably already impervious because it had the railroad ties there. I'm not sure how that's viewed, but that's what's been there all along. So now it'll be granite.
This is Brett Ramsden. I'm afraid I just got on the meeting. Sorry to chime in. I might be able to help here in some form, though.
Thanks, Brett.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
How's
Brett.
everybody this evening?
Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Bob. What would be the last question there?
Are there existing steps there?
There was existing, and I actually sent a picture of it to conservation email.
What are they made of, Brett?
Right now, it's actually literally a metal in the ground pool ladder attached to the railroad ties.
Thank you.
So basically, to get out of the water at this point, you're hanging your body out over the water and dragging yourself up a vertical ladder to try and get out of the water. And the idea is to, and I could see that being unsafe in certain situations, and you've got waves coming up against you. So the idea is to install the granite steps to make it far easier to climb out of the water, of course, make it safer. Certainly a more long-term solution than a metal ladder, which could obviously rot over time. And it's just a realistic solution to the situation, and giving them a way out of the water. They literally have zero access from the water by foot, I guess you could say, not by boat. But if you're without a boat, you'd have to either climb up this ladder or physically climb up onto the wall yourself without a ladder.
Thank you,
So
Brett. That answers my question.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Bob.
Ryan, I think was getting you square footage, info, Bob.
Yes, well, oh, sorry, go ahead.
42 Square feet, about 7 feet from end to end, and then 6 feet roughly recessed into the property.
7 foot by what?
6 foot recessed here into the property.
Okay. So that's,
About 42 square feet.
yeah. That's what I was just writing down. Jeff Viviano, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thanks, Mary. Yeah, I was just down a couple days ago to check things out. I live right up the street, but the lake is drawn down about, I'd say 3.5 to 4 feet. Erosion controls in place. And Brett's doing a great job. He started that wall actually on that side. And I think it's a reasonable request to have some kind of access to the water because this whole parcel is surrounded by a retaining wall. So that's my comment, and I would support it.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions or comments by members of the commission? And are there any questions or comments by members of the public? I'm seeing none. I am therefore looking for a motion.
I move to approve the field change as proposed.
Second by Jeff.
Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Michael Roosh,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. That's unanimous approval for the field change as proposed. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you all
And
very
Brett.
much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Take care.
everybody.
Have a nice evening.
Okay, so I see on the agenda we have order of conditions for 932 Flat Hill Road. Don't know. I think that's something that Sophie will need you to follow up with the engineer and resident on offline. I don't think we have those participants here tonight. And I don't think we were looking to have those participants here tonight. We drove by that property, that parcel earlier this morning. I see that we have 3 certificates of compliance. 31 Cushing Lane. Do we have anybody here for 31 Cushing Lane? And Sophie, I'll ask if this is this something you are familiar with? This request.
The 31 Cushing Lane? No, I'm not familiar. Not yet, anyway.
Okay. Bob, yes.
I recall, Brianna looked into this and, I believe she issued a report, recommending that we issue the order of conditions. Let me see if I can find the email.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. If we've already got the work done, then let's not,
What is it, 32 Cushing?
31 Cushing. I had actually looked in my inbox and saw that I think she'd had a question about it, but I didn't see the report.
Actually, I says, hi, everyone. I see an email from Brianna on Sunday, 11/19, 11:04 a.m. It says, hi, everyone. Here is the certificate of completion the COC for 31 Cushing Lane. I'll send this into DEP as well.
Okay, well then that's closed.
Bingo.
Great.
Isn't it great when that happens?
You said that was what, 11/17?
11/19
19.
at 11:04 a.m. And let's see if you were copied on it. It says in 3 others. Yes, and you were copied on it.
Okay, very good. That's great news. What about 176 Elmwood Road?
Let's see if I got nothing.
And do we have anybody on the phone from 176 Elmwood Road? I said on the phone, I meant Zoom. Not seeing anybody raise their hand. So Sophie, I think this is one that we'll need you to look into.
Will do.
And then 81 Maple Parkway. Is that one that triggers your memory, Bob?
I'm researching it as we speak. I got nothing in email.
Do we have anybody on the Zoom for representing 81 Maple Parkway?
Let's see if we go over here and we go to conservation, and we do a search for 81 Maple. I got nothing.
Okay. Sophie, we'll let you look into that one offline as well. So I think at this point, I'm going to go down the participant list and just kind of ask people why, what they're hanging on for. And of course, anybody is welcome to stay on the meeting as long as they want to for any reason. But I do want to be respectful of people's time. And if they are waiting to handle some business with us, I would like to prioritize that sooner versus later. So Joan and Phil Hoyt, if you could unmute yourself and let me know what your interest is.
I think we're all set. You covered
Okay.
everything we wanted to know. Thank you.
Very good. And you're welcome to stay for any reason again. So I'm just going to go on down the list. And Ken Patton, I see that
Thank
you're
you.
on.
Yes, Madam Chair, just watching the process here, finding it interesting.
Very good. Thank you, Ken. Matthew Allison.
Yeah, hello, thank you. Yeah, likewise, just watching the process and thanking you for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And it looks like Matt Nolan.
Hello, that's me. Me and my partner, Stephen McSweeney, are here to rectify the issues called out in the enforcement order for 711 Mass Ave.
Okay, very good. And I'll circle back to you. I'm gonna keep going down the list to make certain I get everybody and we can
Okay.
prioritize appropriately. Raymond LaJoy.
Good evening, everybody. Raymond LaJoy for 245 Leominster Road. My primary concern has been surrounding 255 Sunny Hill Road. And a couple weeks ago, I expressed my extreme objection to that. And I just wanted to just kind of hang around and observe the process to get a better understanding of how things are going. And, you know, hopefully that this turns into a decent resolution, we'll say.
Very
And-
good, Raymond. You're welcome to be here. I didn't mean to cut you off. If I did, I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. It was probably nothing much anyway.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And I see online Ruthie and Wayne. Okay, they may have dialed in for something earlier. I believe Sandra Perko is probably still online from her earlier hearing, which I'm going to assume for now. And Tanner?
Just watching.
Okay, very good. You're welcome. And then I see one participant logged in under TKR.
That's probably the developer for the, since those are the initials of the developer for, I believe for one of the applications tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Again, just not meaning to put people on the spot, but if there are folks that are hanging out waiting for us to get to stuff, I want to make certain I prioritize their business as early in the meeting as we can. Okay, so now we'll move along to enforcements, and 711 Mass Ave is a new one on our list. And I think Sophie, I'd like to call on you first to talk to us about the project and what you had observed down there.
Sure. So on 12/4, it was my first site visit here in Lunenburg, and I visited the property with Anne and Brian and the building commissioner. And during our visit, the first thing I noticed was a little portion of the silt fencing was not installed within the ground properly, but it did appear that the majority of it was installed properly. The next item that jumped out at me was the fact that there was disturbance in the 30-foot no disturb buffer zone. It was just visually disturbed from a large piece of equipment. You could see the ruts that the equipment made passing that zone, where originally in the plan it didn't appear that there were actual plans to encroach in that area to begin with. So how that happened, I don't know, but it is a violation. And the other item is there was either a lack of wetland flagging, or I just wasn't able to locate some of them shown on the plans up where the silt fencing was kind of deviated from the plan, the original plan, where the entrance of the parcel moved to. It had appeared that the erosion controls were shifted to allow that entrance to move in general for traffic to come in and out. So those are the three items that I noticed on the property, and so I issued a cease and desist accordingly. And at the bottom of that document, I stated that the erosion controls, as specified on the plan, were not in the ground, and wetlands must be clearly marked. And I would like the applicant to address these things, provide updated plans if they had them in time. I know they were kind of running on a time crunch, so they might not have the plans tonight, just to provide to the commission showing the changes deviating from the original plan. And that is all.
Thank you, Sophie. Did you happen to have any photos of that that area?
I do have photos on my email. I'm not sure if you give me like sharing capabilities, then I can try to find
You
them.
should be able to share.
Okay. Just have to exit full screen and locate them. I'm very used to using Teams, so I don't recall how to screen share on Zoom.
You should have a row of buttons on the bottom.
I have, my options are settings, more, reactions, show captions, chat. Oh, share screen. Well, it's in green too. All right. All right. Is that visible?
No. Or at least not yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. Entire screen. Now is that visible?
There we go. Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the area that I noticed was disturbed. So this is obviously the silt fencing, and the silt fencing actually acts as the buffer, 30-foot buffer, no disturb zone as well. So it's clear it was disturbed. They were vegetation slashed and removed. And in fact, I found one of the blue wetland flags on the ground. It looked like it might have been maybe somewhere over there in that area. Must have been on a piece of vegetation and just got plowed over. And that is the other angle from the other side. If you can see my pointer, I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. This dump truck right here is the entrance that they started using, as opposed to the one that was indicated on their plan that they filed with us.
And that entrance goes to what, Mass Ave?
It actually goes into a completely different parcel that
Okay.
is not on the order of conditions.
Okay.
Which I know poses other issues with the planning department and whatnot. So I don't know the extent of where that goes beyond that parcel line.
Is Mass Ave behind us in terms of orientation?
So following my pointer, it's Mass Ave would be
Okay.
this direction.
Yeah. Okay.
and the wetlands this direction. And then the violation area would be this direction. Just tell me
Okay.
when you're all set with the images.
Okay, I think I understand. Okay, so do any commissioners want to ask any questions of Sophie? Okay, so then we'll go to the representatives from the property owner, and I think that's Raymond.
Oh, that's Matt here, Matt Nolan,
Matt.
and Stefan McSweeney is also my partner on this project as well.
Okay, okay. So talk to us about what's going on.
So the issues that Sophie called out, the silt fence that is untucked over there, we'd happily take care of that. I don't know if that was just a hit ledge or some rock and they couldn't properly do it, but that's an easy fix for that. And as far as the no touch, the 30-foot no touch, if you were looking at those pictures, I don't know if you realized that the site was very tough in clearing the trees. It was all just kind of walking through a jungle. There was a tree on the left there. If you see, it was all just matted down trees. So it was very tough to navigate in there. And there was a couple dead trees in there that were lying down where the silt fence had to be placed. So we kind of made the command decision to get those out. And obviously that was in the went over to the 30-foot no touch zone. As far as the back entrance, we have since shut that down. We are now using our front entrance, proposed construction entrance that's noted on the plan.
So Matt, are you
Well,
saying that the damage in the 30-foot area was from removing trees that were already down on the ground?
Correct. There were dead trees. They were posed as a safety issue to myself, and there were longer trees that would have landed right where they were laying, right where the silt fence had to go. So yeah, there's no denying that we were right there, but very, very tough navigating, and then we were cutting trees.
Okay, but it just not having had the benefit of being on site, it looks like you kind of had to drive extensively through the 30-foot zone. You're saying that you couldn't manage bringing those trees down from.
There was just a couple small, probably 8-inch trees in there. It doesn't look, I mean, it looks worse than it really is. It's just a quick, I believe the skidder went in there to grab the tree, and that was it.
Okay.
It was just an honest mistake, nothing intentional. Obviously the 30-foot is right where the silt fence is. It's a very very tight site over there. There's a lot going on.
Do we have questions or comments from other members of the commission?
I can't make any decisions because I really didn't see the before and after, so I'm just taking, only able to make a decision based on what I'm hearing tonight. So I don't have anything further to ask of the representatives.
Okay, Bob, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I mean, I did a site walk out there way back when we approved this, I think it was a couple years ago. And there was it was pretty overgrown, a pretty thick vegetation. But in that area, I just don't see any need to go into the no disturb zone. I mean, we call it a no disturb zone because it's not supposed to be disturbed. And it looks to me like all the vegetation was flat in there. It wasn't just that a couple trees were pulled out, that all the vegetation was flattened, and to actually find a wetlands flag, you know, in the middle of the disturbed area. It sounds like, also they went into the bordering vegetated wetlands, so they actually were in the resource area. You know, just based on that one comment, I don't know that's a conclusion, not, you know, based on the evidence available to me. And so,
Yeah, we definitely weren't in the resource area. I don't know if you guys have a plan in front of you. If you look at where the 30-foot no touch zone is, and where Sophia had taken the picture, the wetlands just jut
Do
out.
you, Matt, do you have the
Yes.
plans in front of you? Could you share them with us?
I just have a paper copy. I don't, I honestly am hanging on by a thread with technology, so wouldn't know how to share it with you.
want me to find a copy of the plans?
I believe you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great, Bob.
Well, it'll take me a minute, but I can do it because I did it on my phone in the office yesterday.
Did it on your phone. Doing it on the laptop should be a breeze.
It should be. Let's see, Lunenburg Conservation. Go to meeting docs. And then we do a search for, what's the address here?
711 Mass Ave.
Come on.
Madam Chair, I do have it pulled up on my end.
That would be
Perfect.
excellent if you could show that, Sophie.
Perfect, because I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh, excellent. Where is the area of the violation?
So I should have done this earlier, I guess. This area right here, if you're following my mouse, I would say it's
A little farther. If you keep going up, not to interrupt,
So
but
it's like-
stop right around there. Right around there is where it is. It's right where it
This,
cuts out,
so-
kind of.
so essentially, I know this either this flag or this flag was on the ground, and the other one was missing altogether. So it's from my opinion a pretty substantial area, and the tracks from the equipment essentially follows like this and comes in pretty far, probably up to this line right here.
Okay. Yeah, that gives us really great reference. Thank you, Sophie. So, it seems like at this stage we would be looking for a restoration plan.
So I'm gonna disagree that we're in the resource area. We're definitely in the 30-foot no touch, but the flags are still visible out there where the wetlands are. There was one on the ground. But if just that plan is back up, if you look at flags 7 and 6, we are to the north of that, I would say. But like I said, we'd be happy to, replace the vegetation or just rectify the issue. No,
Yeah, so I think Sophie, we want to be really clear on where the flags are versus where their equipment tracks have been. So if you could, I don't know if you had the plans, I had the benefit of having the plans with you when you went out there previously.
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
And so what you observed was that the tracks were actually in the resource area, in the wetland area.
Yes, they were.
Okay. So then and regardless, we're looking for, I think we'd be looking for a restoration plan. Bob, I think you've been through more of these than I have been. Is there other things we should be considering here?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Jeff, is there anything else you think we should be adding to the dialogue here?
I mean, maybe if they want to geolocate those wetland flags, put some stakes in the ground and mark them, maybe we can do a site walk and then we can clearly determine if it was in the resource area. But other than that, not really much to add.
Yeah, I think that's actually an excellent recommendation. Matt, can you do
Yeah.
that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get actually Jamie Ralt supposed to be from my Haley Ward is supposed to be representing us tonight, but he had prior commitments. But yeah, I'll gladly get him out there to locate GPS locate those wetland flags, and if need be, we can do a replication plan for you guys.
Okay, so once you get the flags located,
Yep.
contact Sophie.
Okay.
And Sophie, then you can coordinate with the members of the commission, because I think several of us would be interested in walking out there and looking at this.
No problem.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Bob, is again, just I haven't had a lot of enforcements under my tenure as the chair. Do we need to take any formal vote or anything to continue this?
Well, it's not really a hearing, it's an enforcement action. Usually, the person comes in, you have a dialogue about what you want them to do. If you were gonna issue a fine or something, there'd be a vote, but I don't think we're at that point. So to me, it's more of a dialogue. It would be the way I would have typically handled it.
Okay, sounds good. Then that's what we'll do. Matt, we'll look for you you think you'll be able to get in touch with Sophie within the next week or so to get those flags?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd get the flags done this week, and if I could get you guys out there, Sophie out there ASAP to rectify the problem, so we can just keep moving forward. So we're happy to work with the board, no problem.
Thank you, Matt. Jeff, you have your hand raised. I'll let you comment.
Yeah, I guess, what are we going to do with the cease and desist orders? Are they going to continue working now, or is this going to continue until we do a visit?
I think it's going to stay a cease and desist until we vote otherwise. It's the way I understand the process.
Okay.
So is this a cease and desist, or is it just an enforcement order? I'm kind of
Sophie said she issued you a cease and desist.
All right, I was just kind of confused on what there's a couple of boxes aren't checked off here, so I'm not too familiar with these. Obviously, this is our first one, hopefully the last one, obviously. Yeah, like I said, we just want to keep rocking and rolling on this project. I didn't know if it was a enforcement order, so we could just fix the stuff and keep moving, or if it's a legit cease and desist.
Yeah, Sophie has issued a cease. Bob, you have a comment?
Well, I just
want
want,
yeah.
I wanted to hear from Sophie, clarifying, is this a cease and desist, and or is it an enforcement order? I just wanted to clarify that. There's two different things, so.
It's a fair question.
Yes, what I issued is a cease and desist.
And so I'm curious to hear from Sophie what she thinks would have to happen before the cease and desist would be lifted.
Well, this would be my first one issuing cease and desist. So I would say at the moment that the best course of action that we just discussed, meeting the site visit and having the dialogue, and if they have no problem to give us some sort of restoration plan. We would need all this in writing, of course, and then we can talk about lifting this so that you guys can continue to work as soon as possible.
So what are the exact issues that we're looking to rectify to lift the cease and desist?
So the 3 items, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna recite those. I wrote them down as you were saying. Correct the improperly installed silt fence.
Okay.
Ensure the silt fence is aligned with the approved plan.
Okay.
Then we're looking for a restoration plan for the disturbance within the 30-foot. And then we're looking for the replacement of the wetlands flags.
So just the flags in that area? That was disturbed.
Any flags that are missing should be replaced, but especially the ones that were in that area that Sophie observed were removed.
Again, if you think Bob said you walk this site's very, very tough. I walked it myself. I would say 3/4 of the flags are still there, but I'm sure I can get Haley Ward to GPS locate any missing ones.
Okay.
Okay, so locate flags and a restoration plan.
Yes.
Okay. Can I the restoration plan? Can I just hand deliver it to Sophie or the any members of the board, or how would we go about this?
Yeah, you can hand deliver it to Sophie.
Okay.
She'll make it available to us.
Okay. All right, once all this is rectified, then we can lift the cease and desist order.
Yeah, so we'll have to convene another meeting of the Conservation Commissioners to make certain the restoration plan meets our expectations. And we'll also look to Sophie to validate all the things you've said you've completed, right?
Okay.
And then we'll talk at the next meeting after you've done all those things.
I have to wait till the next meeting, so before this is lifted.
Yes.
There's no way to speed it up.
No.
Okay. All right. We will take care of those items.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I think 780 Northfield Road is Jim Latazzi's tree farm, and we were gonna have a appointment hearing with him, but I think we had agreed that we would have that conversation with him once we were had a full-time administrator back on board to reach out to him to have that conversation. Am I remembering that properly? Looking for my fellow commissioners to keep me honest on that. Bob, I'll recognize you.
I believe that no one has ever noticed Matt to show up. I'm not sorry, Matt, Jim to show up at a meeting. And I mean, I'm suggesting that we ask Sophie to take and reach out to him. Sophie, to recap, we're gonna issue, Jim, what's known as a friendly enforcement order, to replace the culvert and replicate, some wetlands down there, based on a recommendation we received from Mia McDonald at, the DEP. And, Jim is more than willing to do this stuff. And, you know, he's willing to start it even without the enforcement order, but, I suggested to him that, you know, we wait until, you know, we have issued an enforcement order. And, so, I'm suggesting that Sophie reach out to him and we put him on the agenda, as an appointment on, December 20th.
I think that sounds like a fine recommendation, Bob. Sophie, we can, Jim's information, I think, is readily available. I think Bob can help you find his contact info. If you need help, though, you can do that offline. Does that work?
And we have prior applications from him, you know, in the Google Drive, you know, with his contact information, so.
Okay, I'll plan on working on that.
Thank you. 390 Howard Street. Just, I don't recall that one. I think that's one of the ones we've been tracking for a while. And I don't think we
390
have.
Howard Street is, the place, that's Mr. O'Brien.
Right, that we
and that's the
already,
siltation, you know, we've had neighbors, sending us pictures of water flowing out of the property into the road containing silt. And, wondering, you know, what wetlands are gonna do about it, but the thing is, right where those pictures are taken, there are no wetlands, so.
correct. Correct. And then we had also had downstream neighbors, particularly one with a pond, who was complaining, who showed up and said there was a lot of siltation running into his pond. And I thought he was gonna help us get permission to walk the stream up through other people's property to get to
Yep.
390 Howard Street, but that kind of fell off a dialogue. I don't know.
Yeah,
If you
I
lost-
reached out to that fella, and he said, "Oh, sure," but I never heard anything more about it, so.
Okay.
But really, I think we should pass that information. I really shouldn't be doing this, really, this should be done by our staff, so I'll pass that information along to Sophie. Probably if we were able to schedule a site walk for this week, you know, it can happen, you know, at that time.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And okay, so the Beers lot we're tracking. 205 Sunset, they actually have an active application that they're working on. 43 Island Road, I think we closed last week. So I think that's a housekeeping problem, error that I made. 10 Mass Ave, I don't know that that's the one that's down across the street from in the vicinity of like Central Mass Power Sports, but across the street.
Yep.
That I think Leah had first been called out to do a site visit.
And then
and had
Leah told them that they had to take and file an RDA. And she told them if they didn't put up the straw wattles, they were gonna have to put up an RDA. I went down and looked, there were no straw wattles. But at that point, we had no more, Leah left. And you know, it fell between the cracks, and so I think it's time to ask Sophie to put that on her to-do list, to go down there, take a look, make a determination of what's appropriate. Leo had gone down there, Leah Grigoff had gone down there and looked at it and said it's kind of far away, but it's close enough from Pearl Brook there but it's close enough so that they, shouldn't have pushed a whole bunch of debris off the side of the, hillside. And they should have erosion controls, so, but, you know, I think it'd be good if Sophie could go down there on her own and take a look, so.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, the next one is 39 Island Road. We actually
And-
have an active application for that
No,
one.
we have
Actually,
we have a completed application for them.
that's right. We have active orders of conditions for that one.
Yeah, and that was true of 143 Island too, so, those should both go bye-bye.
And is that how we normally manage these when they become applications and orders of conditions are issued, that they go, they're just tracked through the normal process?
Exactly.
Okay. And so even like the 205 Sunset, where we
Well,
have violation still in place,
but
that one would stay here.
I think the 205 is a little different in that, the people there are, I think we should leave it there because the people, even though we have an active, order of conditions, they were questioning the timeline. And it sort of seemed like they were trying to milk 3 more years out of it. So I think it's appropriate to leave it on there,
Okay.
but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, you've been doing the you had done the chair job. I think you've still got like 4.5 years on me, Bob. So I think that's pretty good advice. So thank you for that. 1168 Mass Ave rear. This is been reported to me a couple of times for various things. Removal of trees in the wetland area, and then also with now paving what had been a gravel road that goes adjacent to perennial stream. It's the most recent complaint that I had received, or concern that I think concern is the most appropriate way to characterize it. And so Sophie, that's something that I think you should also look into. I had compiled some satellite views and whatnot for that parcel. I'll make certain I get those sent to you so you can look into it. 1118 Mass Ave. What is 1118 Mass Ave? Does anybody recall? I was just looking it up on the map.
Even right.
Ah, right. Okay. And that one is we've already issued, I think, an administrative determination for that. So would that one be moved off of the list as well? I think he was permitted to take down trees, but had to do some replacement.
Then in my opinion, that should come off of enforcement.
Okay, thank you for that recommendation, Bob.
Just so long as there's administrative consistency to follow through. You know, that there was someone's in the office who knows that he's supposed to be doing replacement trees and go out and take a look.
So Sophie, can you take the action to go look at that, make certain that the paperwork is there and that it's in your whatever particular system you choose to develop, so that you know to go out there and take a look?
Yeah, I can do that.
So
I'll
I'm
look
going to
for
keep that. I'll keep that
document.
one on the list until I hear something from you.
Okay.
Okay. Sophie. Okay. Very good. So with that, I think I don't think we have, I think we'll go back up to the top of the business section and go through new business. And just run through everything that we've skipped going down through the addresses. So potential educational ads for residents. Bob, you did I think a great job of updating the flyer. The action is now on my desk to get a QR code that maps the flyer to our webpage. And do we want it to go to the just the general Conservation Commission webpage, or to like the regulation child page off of our conservation page?
I think in my opinion, you should go to the regulation, to the inland wetlands page. But I gotta tell you, our page has kind of been reorganized for us without our input. I mean, we used to have three major things off of there. There was a land use page. There was a trails and conservation areas page, and then there was a conservation links page. And it's been kind of all, the trails have been moved somewhere entirely, not associated with the Conservation Commission at all. And so I'm hoping we can get, I think before we take and put that, finalize that flyer, we should do a little work on our website with the current webmaster. I just think that there's been a lack of outreach, Mr. Map or GIS Trail Map. I mean, I don't know where they got that.
I have no idea either. The last time somebody asked me for a trail map, I had to go print it out of my personal file because I couldn't find it. And you had done such a nice job before making certain all those trail maps were up there.
It's high up at like it's like off of the town somewhere. There's like something about trail maps.
So they still exist, but they aren't linked off of the Conservation Commission.
They're no longer part of Conservation Commission.
Okay.
I mean, it used to be if you clicked on conservation land information, there was a whole bunch of stuff there, including trail maps.
Okay, so
I think it was titled conservation land and trail information or something like that. And and to me, inland wetland act information and wetlands protection bylaw, that should all
ought to be together.
Ought to be together. It's like and there should be information about the state law and the state regulations, the bylaw and the bylaw regulations, and then how do you apply, and what's the difference between an RDA and an NOI. So I think before we start sending people to our website, we should clean it up a little.
I agree.
In our spare time as volunteers.
Yes, indeed. I agree with you. Okay, so I don't feel as bad about not action in that now, because, I hadn't really had a chance to look at it. But then after I sent you that note tonight and said, oh, I haven't had a chance to look at it, I actually thought about it a minute, and I said, I don't even know what page I would link it to. So setting up that link is contingent on doing some work on the web page first.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get it in the next tax bill, so we got time.
What's the deadline we're working against? Do you know? To get it in the, what is it, the April bill?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Although I don't know if we're going to want to be associated with the April bill, so.
Oh, okay.
Based on what I hear, so.
So then we would be shooting for July?
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay. The other thing that I had noticed moving along is the last time I was in town hall, I kind of looked around. There are a lot of bulletin boards on the main floor of town hall around the clerk and stuff. There's nothing in there about wetlands. It seems like that would be a good place to have a brochure. And this morning when I was in the Ritter building, I looked around the Ritter building, there are a lot of, bulletin boards in there, and I didn't see any in there either. And it seems like we ought to have some at least posted in those town offices. Do you guys have thoughts about that?
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
And is that as simple as asking Sophie to print, I don't know, 4 and get, 2 posted in the Ritter building, and talk to the town clerk about posting a couple in town hall?
And we could post some probably in the Eagle House.
Oh, that'd be a great idea too.
I mean, if you click on Lunenburg, Mass, Mary, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see it gives you 6 circles across the bottom, and you'll see down here the one that says explore and discover trails. That's where they buried trail maps.
Where
Or-
is it? Did I scroll too far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back up a little. See that green arrow, the green circle with the hiker in it?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's fine, but we're not talking about having to decide one place or the other. I mean, which I
Yeah.
think is the point you were making, Bob, right? We could have a
Yeah.
link from the conservation page that goes to the same place that this is targeted at.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of going there. Oh, that's something. Okay. Okay, Sophie, did you capture that action item?
Yes, I did. I can print
Okay.
some stuff out.
Okay, great. And reach out to me and Bob if you need help, like finding the places or getting in contact with the people to get permission to post those in those bulletin boards.
Okay.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. All right. And Bob, you had sponsored this next one, Hollis Road lease adjustments.
About 2 or 3, we've had the same tenant in the Hollis Road for quite some time. The present lease was a 5-year lease. It was signed in 2013. So it expired in 2018. And according to the terms of the lease, the tenant in there is on month to month. So at any time we could take and we could, raise the rent, or terminate the lease or anything else. And the tenant in there is paying way below market rates. They're paying I think it's $810 a month. I've had people tell me that probably $2,000 a month would be more closer to the market rate for a house with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. And so one of the reasons the people in there get below market rates is they're supposed to do so many hours a month for of work on their property or on other conservation properties in town. And so 2 years ago started asking to document these hours, and we received nothing. And so then some time ago we asked the town attorney to send the tenant there a letter saying, we want you to document these hours, because we thought that would get, the attention to have a response. And we have no response. And I think it's my personal opinion that we need to make a change. We have no evidence, in spite of repeatedly asking, that the tenant there, is holding up their end of these, to justify or to even come close to justifying, the below market lease. And, you know, I think it's time, we consider a change.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. What would be the next steps in undertaking such a decision? What do you think?
I would think we want to go and talk to legal counsel about and do whatever legal counsel suggested. You know, go to legal counsel, get a recommendation, then come back to the full board, you know, with a recommendation so that, you know, or options, you know, so that the board, you know, could then make a decision based on, you know, an informed process, you know.
Do any of the fellow commissioners have questions or concerns about that proposal?
No, I agree. I also, I don't have any history on this, so I don't know anything about this. I don't understand this lease. I take it to some property that the town has that we gave them gave somebody a good lease deal on something that has something to do with close to wetlands. What is this Hollis lease all about?
If I may, Mary,
Please, Bob.
and this is all based on my understanding, and I could be making mistakes, because it's all hearsay. It's my understanding, you know, someone, the Hawes family, wanted to give this land, to the Lunenburg Conservation Commission, you know, as conservation land. But on the land was an existing residential house. And so, as part of the gift, you know, they wanted the house maintained as a residence. So it's my understanding that for the first several years, and this is hearsay, that one of the people who was an employee of the conservation lived in there for nothing, and you know, didn't pay any rents at all. And then that person, for whatever reason, left the town's employee, and Jim Latanzi moved in there, and he had a below market lease. And I guess Jim Latanzi is a handy guy, and so he was doing a lot of work on the house to improve it, because the house was in pretty bad shape. And the thing on the money goes into a revolving fund. The money paid in the lease goes into a revolving fund for improvements on the conservation land, on that conservation land, not townwide, that conservation land or that residence. And so that's where we get the money to maintain that residence. And we also have allowed the pollinator habit to dip into that money also. That's where we've been funding, you know, when the pollinator habitat comes and asks us, because the pollinator habitat so happens to be, you know, on the Hollis Road property. And then when Jim Latanzi left, we rented it to Ken Jones's brother and his spouse, and who are the people who are in there now. But you know, Ken Jones's brother and the spouse got divorced, so now it's just the spouse, and you know, her two daughters live in there. And that's, you know, and that's where we find ourselves now. That's my understanding, and there may be some errors in there, because that's, you know, I haven't read. I mean, I've seen copies of the, you know, I have a copy of the lease, but that's my understanding.
No, that helps a lot. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
So I would propose, unless somebody else has other questions or comments, I would ask Bob if you would undertake going to town council and getting some advice on what we should do next.
Done deal.
Thank you.
Should we advise the resident that we're proceeding with this, just so that they're in the loop and they're not surprised?
I think, well, that's certainly one way to, get their attention, but for me, it's a little too late, but, you know, who knows?
It doesn't hurt.
Okay.
And I think it's a good idea, because we do want to be transparent in what we're doing.
And
Yeah,
so I would ask Sophie to do that,
especially
or
with kids in the
Sophie to
house, you
ask,
know?
Yeah.
you to do that, either way.
And
Okay.
so can Sophie work with you offline about how to get the contact information and stuff for the resident? I think I'd seen that you had sent that to Ashley or somebody earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, yeah, so the next thing, moving along, the next thing is the select board annual report. And I'm delinquent in putting this in the share drive. So the select board actually notified all the boards and commissions somewhere around the beginning of November that they wanted, and they flagged it as mandatory. They wanted all the boards and commissions to do an annual report at the 28th November select board meeting. And so I actually didn't see the email because November was crazy from a commission perspective and also from my my paying job perspective. I didn't see this until you know, the weekend before Thanksgiving. So Bob sent me his template from when he had done it before. I updated it and you know, really focused primarily on things that aren't as much part of the public hearings, like the all of the volunteer work that's been happening across conservation lands, pollinator habitat, open house, the Lunenburg Snow Riders did a big grant project down at Lane property a couple of weekends ago. So we did a lot there. And then I, of course, tried in fairest way possible to represent all of the challenges that have been happening in the office due to our, you know, staffing shortage. And I will get that posted in the share drive. I will do that first thing in the morning so that you guys have an opportunity to review that. And I know it's after the fact, right? But I would welcome feedback on that. In an ideal world, moving forward, I would hope to pass this by your review and for approval before I would be in front of the select board speaking on behalf of the commission. So my apologies there. But I got caught on my back foot. And I also didn't want us to miss the opportunity of you know, speaking to the select board, particularly when they're looking for input from us. Questions or comments on that? Okay, so moving along, and I added two dialogue points here that we can undertake tonight or undertake at a future meeting. It depends on what people's appetite is for late meetings. So Bob and I have been talking offline about protection afforded by trees by the regulations, both at the state level and at the town bylaw level for trees and wildlife, you know, canopy, etc. And so I had taken some excerpts out of, and I also would be remiss in not acknowledging that Rich Bursch donated for all of us memberships to get access to the Mass Conservation Commissioners Wetland Protection Act handbook again. We lost that due to the staff shortages and all across the town and not being able to get paid back into our membership. So Rich sponsored that for us. And so I did my best to go into the Wetland Protection Act riverfront section of the handbook and take excerpts out, right? And I circulated that for all of you to look at. And as I said in my email when I circulated it, I don't want to tell anybody how to interpret the regulations. I went in and highlighted the areas that spoke to me. My hope was that that would raise the question in your mind about, hey, what is the right thing to do, right? And start the dialogue about what is the right thing to do. So I did that both for the Wetland Protection Act out of the Commissioner's Handbook, and then I also had gone into the Lunenburg bylaws and the municipal wetland protection regulations and done the same thing. And I don't know if people have had a chance to review that, if you want to talk about that, or if we want to put it off to a future date. But I did want to queue that up for dialogue. Chris, you have your hand up.
Yes, I did see that, and thank you for sending it. And I did read it, and it was good to have that understanding. I have a feeling that we might be referring to that in some upcoming parcels of land that are going to come before us. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chris. How do you, Mike, you have the floor?
Yes, I want to, excuse me, I want to echo Chris's acknowledgments about how I thought that was a very important document and how you pieced it together to open up, you know, at least people can see how trees are so important as part of how we look at doing our work. So I just wanted to say thank you for putting it together. And I too look forward to seeing it in some of our upcoming projects as well, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And how would you guys like to manage that kind of stuff moving forward? Do you want it to be a dialogue? I mean, I feel like, right, as volunteers, that you know, we give the amount of time that we can to the commission, right? And some people are in a position where they may have more time to give, and others may not. You know, it may barely you know, creep outside of the actual formal you know, hearing time, right? And I'm appreciative for all of it, and for all of you guys who, you know, continually make it happen and make time for doing these hearings. But I do feel like with our business section of the agenda that perhaps periodically we ought to be looking at some you know, ways to improve our understanding, you know, as a group. And I would be open to suggestions around that as well. I'd even talk to some, you know, some colleagues about whether it would make sense to, you know, maybe bring in wetland scientists or whatnot to, you know, talk about particular topics, not hour-long topics, maybe 15, 20, 30-minute topics max. But, you know, small bites of things over a period of time. What are your thoughts about ongoing learning like that? Would it be helpful? Would it be a nuisance? What do you think?
I'm for it.
Okay. Is anybody like have concerns or not interested so much in doing something like that? Okay, well, I'm not hearing opposition either. So
I think it, hi, Mary. I think it might
Yeah.
be beneficial maybe to do a workshop instead of adding it onto a meeting agenda. I mean, some of our meetings are pretty extensive, and I mean, it usually
Yeah.
slows down in the springtime, but
Mhm.
we could do like an hour-long workshop with a wetland scientist to go over our bylaws and regulations and, to just reinforce our knowledge, but I think
That's a
it'd be
good
difficult
idea.
to add it
Yeah.
on to meetings. Yeah.
Well, and particularly
So that way,
if we were trying to plan somebody to come on a particular week, right? We don't really have control over whether it's going to be a short meeting that week or a long
yeah,
meeting that
exactly.
week. Yeah, the workshop's a good idea too.
Yeah, Jeff brings up very good points. Especially if the meeting's long, we're already tired. We're not going to get as much out of it. So I think a workshop might be the best way to handle it.
Yeah. Mike?
Madam Chair? Yes, I just attended a great event. It was by an author named Doug Tallamy. Are you familiar with him?
No.
He writes a book called The Nature of Oaks. And
that sounds cool.
It was the most eye-opening event I've ever participated in. And it just goes to show you how important trees play a role in our environment, whether wetland or not. But it's all kind of connected. He, of course, writing about the oaks, he says that the oak tree is the keystone of all trees. And I just found it to be an amazing, if you wanted to put everything in perspective, from gardens, you have to have a certain amount of gardens in order to have a certain amount of insects that will, everything is if you follow the plan of nature and environment, you don't need a lot of pesticides or herbicides because nature really will take care of itself. So I would like our commission to be more open and proactive to have people understand that, we don't, trees are an important part of our environment, and we should be advocating for a balance. And I'm not sure if we always seem to do that in our meetings. However, that's why people should do their own reading and just kind of complement what's in the regulations as well, Mary. But I just wanted to at least let people know that there are a lot of viewpoints about trees. If people just knew what those points were, they probably would think differently about cutting down trees indiscriminately and not give us a hard time when we ask them to replant trees as part of their projects. So I just wanted to get on my soapbox and tell people that it's an important part of what we do as protectors of the wetlands. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mike. So it was what was it, a book review that you went to? You went back on mute.
Yes, it was a Zoom event kind of discussing this book called The Nature of Oaks by Paul Tallamy. And he's just a fascinating person. And if you ever wanted to put, nature or in the environment in perspective, this book kind of guides you to doing that. And it was pretty simple. And, it just touches upon, we need insects, we need trees, we need gardens, we need, leaves to kind of protect the, that the bugs that are, required to kind of maintain the balance of nature, and trees are a big part of that. So
cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Chris and I just sent the exact same thing, almost simultaneously on chat. Bob, you have your hand raised.
I do. twice before, we've held workshops. Since I've been on the commission, we held workshops, for several years while we revised our, inland wetland regulations.
Cool.
And I believe we held some workshops when we revised the land use regulations. So that, you know, so typically what we did is sometimes you have months where there's 5 weeks, 5 Wednesdays in a month. And, you know, and we would meet, you know, on the 5th Wednesday. So, you know, the idea of having a workshop meeting, because it's very difficult to focus on, you know, these topics.
Yeah, during the course of a regular meeting and
During
a
the course of
hearing.
a regular meeting.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you get through with the hearings, you know, people are like, well, when is this meeting gonna be over, kind of thing. You know. So, so that's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is that, I think I also think trees are important. But I think, like if you take and you walk out in the woods that we have here now, if you were to come here 100 years ago, they were all fields. They were all fields.
Right.
There were no trees.
Right.
Trees grow. If you cut a tree down, just wait a little while and trees grow. And I think, you know, as someone who was trained in ecology, I think people get focused on what they saw in their short little lifetime. You know, because it was there this way 3 years ago, this is the way it should be here forever, and nature doesn't work that way. So that's one thing I have to say. The other thing I have to say is that I think that if we're going to be able to tell somebody that they can't cut a tree down, or if we're going to tell somebody that they have to replace, if they're going to cut a tree down, they're going to have to replace the tree, it should say that in our regulations. It shouldn't be because, you know, one member's opinion is that should happen. It could be because one member's opinion could be anything. I mean, I think that, you know, if we're going to take and we're going to start telling people that they can't cut trees down, you know, 90 feet from the resource area, that it should say that in the regulations and give criteria, you know, for it, not, you know, just because, you know, someone liked that tree or something like that. And, you know, if you take and you look, you know, I think when you look at our zoning, well, I'm sorry, when you look at our wetlands bylaw regulations, the wetlands bylaw talks about wetlands as resource areas. The wetlands regulations, you know, defines the buffer zone as a resource area. Well, I had never noticed that before Mary called it to my attention. And it's never come up in all the years I've been on the commission that, oh, the buffer zone is a resource area too. Well, if the buffer zone is a resource area, then that means anytime we shouldn't be allowing anybody to do anything in a buffer zone without a notice of intent, because they're disturbing the resource area. You know, I'm probably at one end of the spectrum in terms of you know, the interest. To me, when we make a decision, there should be a clear connection between what we're asking the applicant to do and the protection of the environment, and I like to think that that's informed, you know, by all the education I had, you know, in environmental science. But, you know, maybe it's just my personal bias. I don't know. But at any rate, those are my thoughts.
And I think those are good thoughts. I think, so you and I don't agree. We agree more than we disagree, but we don't always agree. But I think our decisions should be informed by the regulations and shouldn't just be because it's somebody's opinion. It should be informed by the regulations because, you know, the bylaws and the local wetland protection regulation protect the wetland, and they also set a standard for protection of property rights too, right? And with those property rights are the rights of individuals, the you know, investment of moms and dads, and also the investment of businesses, right, that fuel our economy. And all of that is important. So we should be looking to the, in my opinion, we should be looking to the regulations actually to tell us what is the right thing to do and what level of protection and or rights have actually been legislated and written down. Bob, with those workshops, what consisted of those workshops? Did we have like a you know, subject matter expert come in and
No.
talk, or was it just
No.
collaboration with?
No, it was just, the workshops were just time for the commission to talk, you know, and focus on a topic. Rather than, I mean, but there'd be nothing wrong with bringing in an expert, but you know, once, it's like, I don't care what issue you have, you can get an expert to come in on both sides. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
we can get an expert to come in and tell us we shouldn't be doing any cutting in our forests whatsoever. And we
Right.
can get another expert to come in and say, oh, we should be harvesting, you know, lumber in our forests on a regular basis as a form of renewal.
Right.
You know, and promoting diversity. And you know, to me, it's an in the past, you know, your chair, you can structure the a workshop any way you want, but in the past, we've used workshops as an opportunity for commissioners to dialogue with each other without, you know, public involvement and without being distracted, you know, by business.
Yeah. Well, and at the very least, maybe it's a good place to start, right? And see if there's, you know, we want to springboard into, you know, other areas, like having somebody come in and talk about something. Because you know, I feel like across our commission too, we have a lot of experience, a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time. And you know, a lot of knowledge, and there's a strength in us all not agreeing, and a strength in all of us with different background, different experience, looking at those regulations and coming up with an independent interpretation as well. Okay. Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, just I think we need to really look at what we've done in the past as well. You know, we can't just reinterpret these regulations and kind of assume a new interpretation of the regulations. I just don't think that's fair to people. In our town, at least, with 3 lakes and everybody residing on lakes. I mean, you know, 10 years ago, you could essentially clear cut up to 30 feet. And it seems like it's straying further and further away from that. But I think we really need to look at our history and what we've done in the past to kind of guide us, unless we want to go into those regulations and maybe rewrite them. But, you know, it just seems very difficult, since the topic is trees, to, you know, have somebody replace trees that are, you know, within 30 to 50 foot or even up to 100 feet, because we've never really done that in the past. One thing that we do kind of refrain from is removing fill in those areas. So, you know, in the past, you had to have a good reason to remove fill. And we saw that over on Fire Road 16, where he removed like this 3-foot berm and we had him replace it. And that was outside the 30. So or maybe it was very close to the 30, but it's just a difficult kind of area to get, to stray from where we've actually decided in the past, is my opinion, on these, new applications. To have a new interpretation just doesn't seem fair. So, okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for that. Chris?
Yeah, when Bob mentioned that thing about that the buffer zone is labeled a resource area, currently the members of this commission are logical, but if you ever got people on there that are really extreme, you could take this and just concerns could be a reality where people are just really handcuffed. So if there is room for interpretation and us as commissioners can't agree on it, I think we need to remove that interpretation and get it in black and white, either loosen it or do something with it, because there could be some danger in that if our bylaws are possibly too restricted or leaves too much to people to interpret. I don't know if we need to look at the bylaws.
Well, the thing about opening or proposing to open any type of regulation for review is that then the whole can of worms gets opened up. Could go in either direction, depending on the will of the people and the decision makers at the time. Yeah, Bob.
I absolutely agree that the diversity of opinion on this Conservation Commission is one of its strengths. But I also agree that with Jeff, that to take and reinterpret how we've always thought of the meaning, thought we knew what the bylaws said. And I'm not afraid, I have a lot of faith in the current commissioners. I'm not afraid to open up the regulations and think about, or at least consider changing them. It's a fairly rigorous process, Mary, to change regulations. You have to have 2 public hearings that are televised. And it has to be discussed, at two consecutive public hearings that are televised. And believe me, as soon as you start messing with the regulations, people will come out of the woodwork. We'll have a tremendous amount of public interest, and things will come up that you never thought of. When I tried to do the land use regulations, I wasn't even thinking about hunting. And then that absolutely drove the commission crazy for 5 months, made my life hell. Because people were all worked up about hunting and I wasn't even thinking about hunting. I just wanted to take and clarify our current regulations. We have had people in the past who, in my opinion, when someone comes before the commission, they need to get 4 votes. And we had members who, in my opinion, asked for things that they had no business asking for and weren't supported by the regulations. And I look at that as an abuse of power. If you're asking, saying, if you want my vote, you have to do this thing, even though there's no regulation to support me asking for it, I want it. We don't have any of that anymore. That's not going on in this commission. And I'm proud of that. But, I do think that our decisions have to be informed and our reasoning has to be informed by our regulations, and you have to be able to point to somewhere in the regulation, it says, I'm against this, and this is why, and this, here it is in the regulation, why it says it, because believe me, there is no shortage of regulations between, you know, what our bylaw says, and then if you go in to the Inland Wetlands Act, there's plenty of guardrails in there, tons and tons of guardrails, so that, again, I will now get down off of my soapbox.
Oh, well, it's good commentary though. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Do we want to add any more commentary to this? I do note that it's getting late. We had a couple of other topics that we wanted to move on to maybe, but I also don't want to cut anybody short. I think it's been really good dialogue. Okay, with that, I think we'll move along. One thing I did want to acknowledge is that we are currently looking for a new commissioner. They got deep, big shoes to fill in Rich Tremblay's absence or vacated seat. He had actually Rich had forwarded to me a contact, right, who then filled out a talent bank form, and I spoke to the gentleman. It sounded very promising. Actually worked in the area of water testing. So really a lot of science based subject matter expertise. But I heard from him yesterday. He sent withdrawal of his application because he didn't, unfortunately, didn't realize that we exclusively met on Wednesdays, and therefore he had a conflict on Wednesdays, and so he was no longer raising his hand. I have two other talent bank forms for people that I need to call and speak with. So I would encourage you guys to be talking to anybody in town that you feel like would be a good add to our mix here. You know, and certainly we don't want a yes man or a yes woman. We want somebody who's willing to go look at the regulations and come up with their own opinion, right? Yes, Bob.
I would urge you, if you have people with talent bank forms, to invite them to meetings. Tell them they're welcome to come to meetings.
Yeah, that's what I did. I had invited this gentleman to the meeting as well.
You know, Jeff was a associate member. I was an associate member. Rich Tremblay was an associate member. Mike, were you an associate member?
Yes, I was, Bob.
Yeah, Mike was an associate member. Tom Bertram was an associate member.
I was for 2 meetings.
Yeah, so I urge you to invite them to a member so they can see what we really do and find out if they're really interested.
Yeah. Yeah, good advice. I'll do that. Yeah, so folks, do think about people that you bump into, maybe even you know, if we've had previous applicants that you thought you know, might be a good addition, you know, and you're willing to reach out to them. Or if you're not willing to reach out to them, you want me to reach out to them, you pass that info along. Because we do need to you know, get Rich's shoes filled. Okay, old business that we were tracking. Any updates on the timber rights fund, Bob?
Nope.
Do we have any idea at all if the Reno property is going to be logged? I know.
I put a call into Gary about 5 days ago, and asked him to call me back, and he never called me back. So I think it's time for me to call him again. I'm gonna write that down right now. For Chris's benefit, we take and we contract with this forester guy who does it for a living, and he devises the forest cutting plans and his name is Gary Goldrup. So he takes and he administers, he develops a forest cutting plan. We approve it. He then takes and sends it out to different foresters who bid on it. He gets a percentage of the timber sales and makes sure that, you know, that the forest cutting plan goes according to what was proposed, and that you know, and that the lumber that they take out is all measured appropriately, so we get get paid for all the lumber that's taken out, and so on and so forth. So that's how that works, Chris.
Thank you, Bob.
So Bob, you wanted us to take you were proposing that we ask for a funding from the Kelly estate for the title searches on.
Yeah, we've discussed this at least twice, but I don't think we ever had a formal vote to approve using Kelly estate funds for title search for those 3 properties that we would like to acquire through the tax title process. 2 over behind Matt Allison's place there off of
Page Street.
And the one that's the swamp right in the middle of the Cowdrey property. And Heather said she would see to it that a purchase order was generated from the Kelly estate for $1,000. And then we could, you know, add more money to it, you know, if the title fund searches came to more than that. But I think we should take a formal vote approving the use of Kelly estate funds for title searches, and I would like to make such a motion.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. So you have a unanimous vote to allocate funding out of the Kelly funds for those title searches. Okay, so I don't have any updates on that Montechusett Regional Planning Commission Trail Vision plans. The last time we talked about it, everybody's dance card was full. We didn't have anybody raising their hand to participate as our delegate there. And my dance card is, I'm interested in it, but my dance card's way beyond full. The public awareness campaign we already talked about. So MACC memberships. So I know that Rich Bursch got us the MACC handbook. I think we have to have a membership in MACC to have access to the handbook, but I haven't actually confirmed that yet. Does anybody happen to know? Bob, you have your hand up?
I do. I went and I spoke with Ashley about this yesterday because I was told, or she was told by Steve now Barrett, not his, Steve, the new guy in accounting.
Yeah.
Whose last name escapes me now. That there was going to be, you know, that a check was generated for Mac. And so I asked Ashley to follow up both with Steve. She's meeting with Steve tomorrow.
Okay.
Follow up with Steve, and also to reach out to Mac to see what does Mac have, because if Rich took and I don't know what was in this purchase order since I never saw it. And I don't know who actually requested it and what was requested for. Because to me, we should have, you know, memberships for everybody. We should have the handbook for anybody who wants it. And if Rich donated that stuff, and that money is, then we should know how much money is left in that purchase order, you know, for training. If somebody wants to go to a Mac workshop or something like that, we should have a handle on what the heck is going on here.
Right, I agree.
So, So I'm trying to work with Ashley to figure out what the heck is going on here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I actually am interested in taking a couple of those classes over again, and I know Chris is anxious to take a couple of the classes too, as his time allows.
And I think, I don't think that Rich could get us access to the MAC handbook unless we are also MAC members, so,
That's what I was thinking as well. But when I went to try to go in, so anybody, you don't have to be a member to go see the classes and access the MAC website and whatnot. But when I tried to just log into MACC, I wasn't able to do it. I was able to use the access code that was sent to me after Rich did the handbook, and I was able to go regenerate access to the handbook, but then I couldn't figure out how to get access to the MACC page with all the educational classes and all of that kind of stuff. So that's,
and I think Ashley has to spend some time on the phone with the people at MAC to describe the scenario we just talked about, where, find out what the purchase order was, how much it was for, what was to be included, what did Rich pay for, and where are we?
yeah, thanks. Yeah, cool. I think that's exactly spot on what we need to know. Yeah, so if you'll continue to work that with Ashley, I'd really appreciate it. And then as you guys all know, right, we have Sophie Doro with us now, who's joined us tonight and has been with us now for what, a week and a half. You'd started on the 27th, Sophie, is that right?
Yeah, last Monday.
Yeah, and Sophie, you joined us from Gardner, is that right?
Yeah,
Were your
so
previous? Yeah.
left Gardner as their conservation and planning agent.
So we're really happy to have you with us. And I know you're still kind of drinking from a fire hose, so to speak. Anytime you start a new job, there's lots of new information and, figuring out all the administrative overhead and everything. But yeah, I can tell from working with you just a couple of times we engaged that you're a quick study. And I really look forward to working with you more. So welcome.
Oh, thanks. That compliment makes me feel good.
Okay, so I think let's see, we have encroachment issues, but I don't think we have any updates on the encroachment issues. I think those
Nope.
have been on the back burner.
Yeah, I gotta reach out to Heather. Heather, I put the ball in Heather's court and she never bounced it back. So I think it's time for me to remind Heather that she's got this ball she's supposed to bounce back. So,
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Administrative determination at 70 Horizon Island. Does anybody recall anything about that? I don't. I didn't, let's see if I'm just gonna look at the last meeting and see it was there then as well. Maybe something that we just need to look into in the
oh,
background.
you know what that is?
What is that?
That is Rich Parsons and his 3 trees. And I said to,
that he needs
I
to
don't
do
know
an
if it was-
RDA.
I said to Sophie, when I was in the office on Tuesday, when we last discussed this, we decided that, he should file an RDA and she should reach out to Rich and tell him he's got to file an RDA for those trees.
Very good. Okay. Cool. All right. So we handled the next several areas. Open space and land use. I do have a couple of updates. So right now for the Lunenburg Conservation Commission sponsored grant that was awarded this year. I've got the action item to follow up with Heather about signing the grant contracts, which I will do, if not this week, early next week. And then the Lunenburg Snow Rider sponsored grant that was awarded in 2022. The Snow Riders had a huge turnout of volunteers. When did we have that? I think it was the 18th of November. It was the Sunday prior to the Thanksgiving break, and we had a lot of business sponsorship. We had Gatsby Grounds, Dandelion Plumbing, Bear Construction, and M. Proctor Masonry for business sponsorship. They all got a bunch of gear down to the Lane property. We had 17 volunteers. We had a big parade of personally owned compact tractors. They moved all of that gravel that had been staged in the Lane parking area at the trailhead. They moved that down the trail to stabilize a lot of eroded and wet areas. And in particular, there was a lot of gravel added to stabilize the trail. And it was the kind of the 50 feet on either side of that Peter Charpentier Bridge. And what was happening, because there were wet areas in the trail, people tended to walk around the wet areas, and they were making the trail wider and wider and damaging the vegetation on the sides of the trail. So we've got a good layer of gravel down there now. And since they had that equipment out there, they also took that staged, there was some soil there as well. They used that to patch the eroded areas just coming off of the parking area into the trail at the Lane area. There was a lot of erosion from that torrential rain that we had several times over the summer. We got all that leveled out. And then there had been a lot of erosion damage. There's a parking area just near the Holman Bridge that, you know, on a great day, you can see the remnants of handicapped accessible parking there in front of the Jersey barrier. And there is actually a trail access that comes around there, and that had some really bad ruts in it. And the snow riders were able to get those ruts all cleared out and filled in and compacted as well. So that was really great work. So that grant effort is well underway. And then, you know, not associated with a grant, but just because I'm talking about trail improvements and conservation land improvements as well. Last weekend, Lunenburg High School National Honor Society came out to the Lane property and spent, there were 23 volunteers. It spent 5 hours doing the thankless job of cutting down Oriental bittersweet, as well as multiflora rose. They dug out roots. They did it along that initial kind of swampy area on the yellow trail that's maybe about 200 feet from the trailhead, maybe 300 feet from the trailhead. And they made a big dent in the bittersweet that's in and around those islands that are on Mulpus Brook. There in that first section of I think it's the red trail that goes down by Mulpus Brook, closest to the parking area, Bob. I think it is a red trail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they made a big dent in the vegetation, the invasives down there as well. They bagged all of the DPW, gave us heavy duty construction bags. They bagged all of that debris, took it completely off site, brought it to my house. And so over the winter in my copious free volunteer time, I'm going to be burning bittersweet and multiflora rose in my fire pit. So that was the work that's been done down there.
I'll I'll come over and help you with that.
Okay, Chris, I'll count on it. Thank you. Any questions or comments there?
I would think you must be pretty far into your local match just after that one weekend, Mary.
We are very close. Yeah, we are very close there. And especially some of the vendors gave us donation receipts for the for their gear
Yep.
and their professional operators. So yeah, we're really close. I think one of the things that I might need to work with you offline, Bob, is I think I can count the match of that gravel that was staged there. I got to figure out how to do it though.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Mike, any updates on the North Country Land Trust site walk at the pause?
Yes, I met with Emily Merlino on the 20th of November, and we did walk the Hollis Road property, and she wanted to see two things. She wanted to see all the debris that was strewn all over that site that we collected, and, you know, thanks to Nick Pirro, who picked it all up. And also the town picked up some bags of invasive vines as well. So all of that was removed. So Emily was glad to see that gone. And she had not seen the fact that we had removed all that timber in the back of Hollis Road. So we hiked and went to where all the timber had been cut down. So she wanted to see that for herself. And I asked her if she was going to provide us with a report, and she said that she would send that report to Sophie. So I'm hoping that either she's gotten it so far or it will be coming. So she was pretty happy about that, how we're taking care of the property. I did ask her a question that you had asked me, and I wasn't sure if I should go ahead and ask her, but I did, about expanding the shed on the property. And she says she was just made aware that that was part of, you know, the house as well as the shed was part of that Haas property. And so she said she would look into it as well to see whether or not we could go beyond the shed imprint if we wanted to put things like our signs in. So anyways, I asked her that question. Hopefully she'll get back to us on that.
Mike,
Unless someone else.
Just for the
Yes.
benefit of everybody, right? When you and I were riding together, going on a site walk, I
Yes.
kind of just offered that as a question because, you know, for those of us that work on the grant projects and whatnot, right? Where is the stuff being stored?
Yes.
Is always kind of the issue, and particularly if we're talking about, you know, material for signs or kiosk or whatnot. And so what I had kind of asked Mike, just in the, you know, brainstorming kind of space is, you know, well, if we had the funding, right, would we be able to make that building, that storage building, bigger, with the idea that, you know, like a portion of it would be for the resident, for the lease, and a portion of it could be a locked secure area to store Conservation Commission, you know, materials or whatnot. And that's what Mike had asked about. So thank you for doing that, Mike.
You're welcome. And I also had a chance to speak with Chris Ruth regarding the rest of the Hollis Road. The maintenance work, the painting and the trim is complete.
Yay!
And it's all complete. And I believe Nick got paid. So that's all good news as it regards to Hollis Road. I haven't heard any bad news from the Acme carpet people, looks like they must have gotten paid as well. So we're very happy about that. The only thing that I wanted to bring up is that time of year again that we probably should be servicing the heating system before winter again, like we did last year.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I had gotten Cam's Heating, because they're the people who supply the oil for the house,
Mhm.
to see if they would do that. But because our relationship with Chris Ruth is now a substantial one, I may want to connect with him. Or do you think I should just get permission from the commission today to just go ahead and call Cam's and schedule a service appointment to get that done? So that's where I was going to leave it. Should I involve Chris on this one, given that he's the facilities director for the town? So I'm open to everyone's suggestion. He's done a great job.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah. Mike, Bob, I was looking at Bob's got his hand raised. Yeah, Mike. Yeah. Thank you. Bob, you had a question or comment?
Well, I just think that, I think it's wonderful that Mike has gone above and beyond what a commissioner should have to do.
Yeah.
To help out with the, with the Hollis Road property. But I do think it's above and beyond what a commissioner should have to do. We do have a facilities director now. He's extremely competent. He does a great job. And I think whenever possible, we should be asking the facilities director to do this work and take ourselves out of it, because we really, in my view, it's not our role. But
I hear you, Bob.
But I think it's wonderful you volunteer, and if it's what you want to do with your time, go for it. But I do think that it's just like a lot of what I do is not really a commissioner's role, but I do it in the absence of staff continuity, and we had no staff before, so and I'm trying to bow out of a lot of this stuff, so but it's up to you. That's my thoughts.
Part of me says, as an old facilities person, this is an important thing to get done, and I'd be glad to connect with Chris to see if he wants to handle it from now on, but I just don't want it to be forgotten and not done. And we are in the dead of winter and something goes wrong because we didn't do it. So that's my only motivation for bringing it up tonight.
Why don't we do this, Mike? Why don't I commit to putting it on the agenda, the heating service on the agenda for next meeting. And then in the interim, you tie off with Chris and see if he's willing to take that on board. And then at the very least, we'll have it on the tickler on the agenda next time to see if there's any other steps that need to be taken.
All right. And if after a conversation with Chris, because we probably want to schedule the service before too long. I think last time we waited until mid-January or the first part of January.
I'm happy to accept a motion on a vote to allow you to go ahead and reach out to the proposed servicing contractor as well.
Sounds great.
Moved.
Do I have a second? I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
Michael LaRouche.
Aye.
Jeff Viviano.
Aye.
Bob Pease.
Aye.
And I for myself. So if Chris is not so inclined to take it on, you are now approved to go ahead and contact that and get that servicing scheduled.
Thank you so much.
I was just making a note so that I can remember it next time, because if it's not written down, I might not be able to remember. Okay, and
And
then
we-
go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
And we are still looking at the Habitat for Humanities to see if we can pick up some used but serviceable cabinets to replace the existing cabinets in that house. And we possibly have a person who might install them as well. So it's hit or miss. We're always looking, and we'll let you know if we find something.
Cool.
All right. And
Thank you,
that's all I
Mike.
have. You're
Very
welcome.
good. So the last thing that I have on the agenda is we were notified by the Mass Mosquito Control that they're going to be doing some treatment at 493 Mass Ave. Just for your awareness. Okay, are there any other comments from fellow commissioners? Parting comments?
Is
Parting
this
comments?
is
Yeah.
this a typical time of year to do mosquito treatment? It seems a little late.
I think they're digging out mosquito ditches.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think they're doing too.
Okay.
But it's an exempt activity, so they just have to notify us. So I didn't dig into it too much. Yeah, any parting comments from members of the public? And I'm seeing no hands. I am accepting motions to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche.
Aye, it's 9:58.
Thank you for saying that out loud for me. Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
And I for myself. All right, folks, have a great evening. We had a great meeting
Thank you,
today. Thank
everyone.
you.
You as well.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.